All right, guys. I'm gonna try to see if this works. Where did it go? All right. This is DJ Wolf Live, and I want to go ahead and do these videos for you right quick. I had talked about two people who I actually married back in the day, and one of them was Max Jr. Now, Max Jr. was born, and this according to Wikipedia, was born 1933. And initial claim was that he died on January 1st, 2022. That's not a claim, I'm sorry. That's when he actually died. But they initially claimed that he was born on January 1st. He wasn't. He was born July 12th, 1933, which would make him roughly about 88 years old. Now, of course, his real name was Maxwell Banks. Stage name was Maxwell Julien. He was a actor, sculptor, and clothes designer. Best known for his role as Goldie in the 1973 Black exploitation film, as you know they call it, the Mack. He also appeared in How to Be a Player. He starred in such shows as The Mod Squad, another show called The Bold Ones, The Protectors, and One on One. One on One, I think, was the show with Flex. Let me see, was it Flex? Yeah, that's one with Flex on it. I didn't know he appeared on that. But hey, he from out here. I didn't know that. I told people that. Yeah, he from DC. He's a DC native. Never known that. Wow, that's crazy. He was also married to Vanetta McGee, who was, oh my gosh, she was a beautiful, gorgeous woman. I know she died. I know she died in 2010. Yeah. So she was fine as hell. And she had a sister was an actress too. But anyway, they were saying that he started on Broadway, and eventually he moved to Hollywood. He played in roles with Jack Nicholson in the movie. I remember the movies called Psych Out. Hadn't seen it in a long time. Boy had a very colorful cast. They also had Susan Strasberg, Jack Nicholson, Dean Stockwell, and Bruce Dern. Wow. So he's been in a number of big movies. I think I kind of remember Psych Out. I hadn't seen it in years. I'm about to look it up. That was a crazy movie. Crazy movie. Yeah, I'm about to pull that up. He also was responsible for getting the movie pushed out for Cleopatra Jones, which he was a co-producer, and I guess he also wrote the screenplay for it. Yeah. Anyway, I guess he wrote both of them. He wrote the Cleopatra Jones, and he wrote the sequel, Cleopatra Jones and Casino Gold, uh, which I hadn't seen in a minute. He also appeared in a 1968 film called Uptight that was shot, and I got a backstory on that. Uptight was shot in my old neighborhood of Union Avenue over in Cleveland. Matter of fact, if you watch the first part of the movie of Uptight, Uptight was actually I'm going to watch that again. That's a good movie. The first part where it was a gas station, the Gulf gas station, right across the street from that Gulf gas station was an elementary school called Boulevard. No joke. I actually attended that school roughly around the time the film was shot. Right out there. But yeah, it was up. Okay, I'm seeing it looks like it was well anyway, he was in that film. I didn't even know he was in the film, but the movie was shot in Cleveland. I'm gonna have to watch that again because it's actually a good movie, and the fact it was shot in my hometown. Anyway, want to go over a couple other things right quick. But he, a lot of rappers, of course, a lot of copycat films, try to copy off the Mack for years and years and years. But this was a film that actually was a movie that actually made him a household name. And he had been, like I said, he had been an actor for a number of years, but this movie was a household name for him. He actually, he was reading about some of his stuff. He was involved with actress Vonetta McGee from 1974 to 1977. And they did a movie together called Thomasine and Bush Ride, a film that I hadn't seen in a long time. Said it was intended to be as a counterpart to the 1967 film Bonnie and Clyde, which I've also seen. I guess he finally got married in 1991. Turned his playing card status in. He died on New Year's Day at the age of 88. This is a filmography of all the films that he's been in. It's quite a slight, not a real long filmography, but he's done other things too. So he was a clothing designer, a sculptor, and an actor. Filmography included The Black Klansman, a film that I have seen. I actually saw him in that, and he had not a big part, but he had a part in it. Though. It was a good movie. Psych Out, I hadn't seen in years. The Savage Seven, I don't even remember what was The Savage Seven. He's been some wild trip out movies. Uptight, like I said, Uptight was a film that was shot in my old neighborhood in Cleveland back in the late '60s. I have seen that. He's on the Mod Squad. He's on a show called The Bold Ones, Protectors. I actually remember that show. And seen a lot. Leslie Nielsen. I forgot Leslie Nielsen actually starred in that show. Anyway, CBS Playhouse. I didn't know he was in that. I didn't know CBS Playhouse ran up to the late '60s. I didn't know that either. He was in a movie called Getting Straight. I don't think I remember that. Well, maybe I may remember that movie barely. Let's see here. What else did he do? He was on a show called The Name of the Game. He appeared on there. Of course, he was in the Mack. He wrote a screenplay for Cleopatra Jones. Thomasine and Bush Ride was another film that he was in back in the day. Hadn't seen it in many years. How to Be a Player, which I've seen. He had a guest cameo in that. He was on something called Restore. I don't even remember what that was. In One-on-One. But yeah, he actually made an indelible mark in the world of film and in our pop culture, in our culture, as a streetwise pimp who went up against crooked cops, pimps, and other drug dealers. It was a good movie. Like I said, if you hadn't seen the Mack, I highly recommend it. Definitely a role he was born to play. Richard Pryor was his sidekick and muscle in the movie. He also was definitely born to play that, considering the fact that he come from that background. My understanding, I thought I read somewhere where Max Jr. kind of had some personal experience with that too. I can't tell you what, but I had heard that. Richard Pryor, we all know that. Richard Pryor grew up in a brothel. So we all know he was out there, way out there. Matter of fact, they said, according to what I was reading and what I heard, they said Richard Pryor was high during the entire filming of the Mack. But he was very effective in it. It's crazy. But I definitely recommend it. But rest in peace to the Max Julien. That was my dude, man. And I'm not going to lie. I got another side story to tell you one time. I lived on a street called Woodside back in the early 70s. And we actually lived across the street from an actual pimp. At least I think he was. I never actually saw him during the day. So I'm just saying. Never actually saw him during the day. I saw him parading his women around one night. I stood right across the street from his house by almost an hour. And he lived in an apartment right across the street from us. When I was a kid, I just stood there, just looking, just looking. You know, he had women parading around half naked in his apartment, and I think he had a problem with it. I think he was advertising. It was crazy. They never actually took the clothes to curtains, but I saw everything was going on in there. Well, not everything, but I saw walking around. Or I saw the women walking around there, black women, white women, whatever. Anyway, but I thought it was cool. You know, that was the era that I grew up in. Then my father later on went and bought a big old Cadillac and kind of thought he was out there too. But I can't extend about how far it was because I'll be honest with you, I know the persona, but I don't know exactly anything beyond that. And because I'm not gonna put him out there like that because I really didn't know. But I think he kind of thought he might have been like that in a way too. But you know how. I mean, any of you guys and gals who grew up during that era, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, every brother out there back in the day, all even the older brothers, all had to have Cadillacs. You know, for many black people, and that era kind of represented that with the Mack, the era of the Mack back in the day. When you drove big cars like Cadillacs, Lincolns, and Deuce Accords like that, it kind of represented black success in your neighborhood. Not sure why, but it did. You know, represent to a lot of black folks back then. You were somebody, and you had a little something going on. They didn't, want any other car like that to represent them more than the Cadillac. You know, I guess because also a lot of stars prior to that back then was driving around Cadillacs, like Elvis Presley's and Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry had owned a massive amount of Cadillacs back in the day. He kept them minty fresh in the garage at his home. Yeah, he had a massive collection of them. It's crazy. All right, guys. Well, my salute to Max Julien, man. He definitely was one of a kind. And he kind of, on some ways, did change the face of black cinema, man, with this film, The Mack, man. There have been other movies about that, or similar to what he did. I think Willie Dynamite was one of them, and there were other movies on top of that. But The Mack was the originator. I'm out.